Hey everybody, TC Bradley, host of God Made Millionaire TV, on set with my good friend and CEO, JL Farron. JL, we've got a special edition show lined up for the people watching today's show.
That's right, special edition God Made Millionaire. This is the show where you're one instruction away from activating your God-given dream. That's what it's all about.
We will make sure that we touch as many lives as we can.
JL, get your own church. But in the meantime, let's activate some God-given dreams and let's crack open the God Made Millionaire Bank Vault.
Let's talk about what drives nearly everything in our society. Cash. We never have enough of it, right? You see, you got to choose the right steps and the right motives and the right plan to actually get out of the hole where there's depression and sometimes hopelessness and stress and anxiety and fear. That's not God. And God wants to empower His people with this tool, cash, so that we as Christians can touch the four corners of the globe with a word that can change the world. Your financial success today is not only important to your bank account, it's important to God and what He wants to do with you in this world. Today, my very special guest, TC Bradley, a man who made millions, and he's here today to share with us some very simple biblical strategies that can shift you from where you are to where God wants you to be. If you're looking for the keys to build wealth and financial security, then you don't want to miss a single minute of today's program. I invite you to join me and TC Bradley on this very special edition of One-on-One. Do you know what that sound is, by the way?
What sound is that?
This is the sound of dice, which is really about how most people run their financial lives. Seriously.
Right.
I mean, I guess that's how I'll do this year. I guess this is where my career is going. I guess this is how I'm going to pay the bills. I'm not trying to offend anybody. And certainly to those religious folk who might be watching and asking why Damon is playing with dice on a faith-based network. I'm being illustrative here of how a lot of us approach money, understand money, process money, manage money. And then you got this other group of folk, and I've been there, by the way, not insulting anyone. I have been there. I have lived there. And this is kind of how we live. That's debt. And we have no idea how to get from there to where your book says we can be, where we are not just doing okay, but our financial life is overflowing to the point where we are what the Bible talks about, so solid.
Right.
So solid.
Come on.
Blessed.
Yes.
To be a blessing. You talk about that in your book, God Made Millionaire. And by the way, welcome back to the show. I understand that the last time we were together, and many of you watching are tuning in again, either online or by way of this network, and are so happy that you're here because they got your first book. And if you didn't, by the way, and we'll put the image up, there it is. We'll put that right up. If you haven't gotten that book, get that book. So many people are here to receive yet again, a word of instruction and understanding because it worked. Book one changed some lives. Would you mind sharing?
Right. We had a gentleman that is a business owner that within 45 days of reading that last book generated $300,000 into his business.
Goodness.
$300,000 into his business. He had an event that he was producing, and he was just stagnant. Nothing was happening with it. And within 45 days, over $300,000 cash flow into his business. And then there's a lady that that contacted me. Her daddy saw the show, the last show we did, and ordered the book for her birthday in the month of December, and she generated, just reading the first 3 chapters, she generated $10,000 cash in the month of December.
Well, the reading of the 3 chapters is not what makes money flow. It's the application of the perspective, the principles found in those 3 chapters. In fact, the whole book that can shift you from where you are to a place where God wants you to be. Blessed to be a blessing, where your cup overflows, where you have the ability to have a war chest of financial capital to do the things that we need to do in this world, and that is to be a blessing. Now, there's nothing wrong with big barns and nothing wrong with the next watch and the next nice car, but that's not what life is about. Praise God that we can be blessed and have nice things, but our time here is short,
right?
And there's a great work to do, and I just know that God is looking for people that He can push through,
right,
the war chest of cash to do the things He wants to do in this world.
Right.
So let's get into the show.
Come on.
I know who you are. A lot of people just tuning in. I'm here with T.C. Bradley, author of God Made Millionaire. They don't know you. Give us a quick Reader's Digest view of who you are,
right,
and then I got some important questions to ask.
Okay. Excited to be back here at my home, my legacy home.
Welcome to the ATL.
Yeah. Come on. There you go. See, we're just getting started. You're taking it to the south side already. My God, Damon, we are ready to roll here. My background, very simply, I've always been in business. It's been really my passion has always been business. The first website that I founded in 2003, we sold over $1 million of product from that website. Within 2 years' time, we beat out Miss Oprah in website traffic.
But I had to check this out. I had to check that out. It's true.
It is true.
It was true.
Yes, it's true. Of course it's true. We beat her out, and that was at her zenith of her success. I didn't take her out like on the downside. She was at the top of her game, and we beat her in website traffic. And I've been trying to talk you in to doing a talk show where we would do it together, and we would take on Oprah and take her out in ratings. Because if I beat her before, I can beat her again.
Her agents watching, her bodyguards are watching. You're going to get me in trouble. Look, but here's the thing.
Well,
here's the thing. What you talk about works. I mean, these are biblical principles about success and money.
How else would you explain a kid from the south side of Chicago, ATL? How else would you explain I could barely turn on a computer? My first website that I built, I had that level of success.
Yeah.
Right? And then I wasn't trying to take out Oprah, but we did.
Yeah.
And it was using these laws that you talk about, you know, in the Bible that are there in business. I mean, it's phenomenal.
But you did something special, which I think is where the rubber meets the road, because you did something special that is the difference between people rolling the dice, right? And actually seeing the manifestation of those biblical principles become real.
Right.
And I mean real in the middle of financial destitution. I mean real in the middle of job loss, real in the middle of debt, real in the middle of foreclosure, real in the middle of some tough stuff financially. And by the way, what we know statistically is that financial problems are the leading causes of divorce. They are a major cause of depression, which leads to inflammation, which leads to sickness and disease.
Right.
All money related.
Right.
But you mined out the principles.
Right.
And put the perspective and the understanding in the pages of your books.
Right.
Not just one, and also your teaching.
Right.
So that we could understand it. So we're not rolling the dice, we're walking out a roadmap to achieve the kind of financial success you're talking about.
Right.
How in the world?
Well, I speak from experience. I speak from experience. You know, the thing about my messaging is that I am a businessman. I am a businessman. I am not a pastor. And I think the reality as a businessman, we have to bring in the harvest. That's the reality. If we don't bring in the harvest, if you don't bring in the harvest for the next 30 days, there are people that are an Uber job away from you not bringing in that harvest. Your employees.
True.
Right?
True.
The problem is that people have this mentality of planting the seed into the ground, but then they don't know how to get the harvest.
Yeah.
Do you follow that?
I do.
Now, in Indiana and Iowa, they plant the seed in the springtime, but they go back to the fall and they pull that harvest out of the ground with the combines.
Yeah.
Right? Faith-based people go to the mailbox.
Yeah.
That's their idea of a harvest.
Yeah.
And God is not going to give you a 6 or 7 figure check. He's going to give you a 6 or 7 figure idea.
Wow.
Or
wait,
business.
Wait, you got to say that again.
Well,
God is not going to give you a 6 or 7 figure check. He's going to give you a 6 or 7 figure idea. Holy cow. Yeah, because you plant the seed.
right.
The seed does its work, but we have to do something to enable the seed to produce the harvest.
How ridiculous would it be for the farmer to plant the seed in the ground and then just go in their house and then pray for the harvest, decree the harvest, put a vision board up for the harvest, but never go out to the field to get the harvest?
Yeah, yeah.
And what we've got is faith-based people. They plant seeds. You can't turn on Christian television without learning the power of sowing a seed.
Right.
No one is teaching how to get that harvest in until now with this book,
Wow.
God Made Millionaire. So if you have that God-given dream inside of you, this is your instruction manual to activate it, to pull that out. You've got it in you already, in my opinion.
We have to understand the what to do. God gave us the ability to do something.
Right.
We just, to achieve the level of success you talk about, it all starts with an idea and a strategy. And your book, by the way, tells us how to tap into that. But absent understanding the what to do, many of us are left astray.
Right.
Like ships out in the ocean with no sails. You teach us how to understand money and how to make it real in our life.
Right.
Talk to me about that.
Well, I'm going to give you an example. This last book that I wrote, Supernatural Success, after I wrote that book, it came time to publish the book, and I almost talked myself out of doing it. I almost didn't do it because I had that little fat man up on my shoulder whispering in my ears, do you really want to open yourself up to this? What if the book is not successful? What if people don't have supernatural success? And I'm like, I had put it out on social media. Here's my book, like Ralph Cramden from The Honeymooners. I got a big mouth. I said, this book is coming out in 45 days, and it came time to put that book out. And I'm telling you, I almost didn't do it because of that procrastination, that fear. And I think more million-dollar ideas are killed by procrastination than anything else. Within 45 days after publishing that book, I signed that major TV deal to come on your show. And I was sitting in my office, Damon. I was sitting in my office before I came here, and I was just thanking the Lord for his goodness and for opening this door that was opened. And I said, God, you've been so good, and if it wasn't for you, you opened this door. God said, I had nothing to do with that. I said, what do you mean you had nothing to do with that? I couldn't have opened that door. You opened that door. He said, no, son, I didn't. Now, here I am having an argument with the Lord in my office, and I'm trying to win this argument. How many times have you done that? Well, here I am having this argument, and he said, no, your faith opened that door.
Wow.
Your faith opened the door. And I said, okay, all right, Lord, I'm all ears. How did my faith open the door? He said, you published the book.
Wow.
You almost didn't do it. You published the book. You talked yourself out of so many. God has already given you the 6 and 7 figure dream.
Yeah.
If you're on this show, if you're watching the show, it's not by accident. You've already got that planted. What you've got to learn is the instructions to activate that dream and make it a reality. It's already there.
Yeah.
It's already there. Hey everybody, T.C. Bradley, host of God Made Millionaire TV, and I'm honored and privileged to host the hottest show on TV, where each and every Sunday we feature God's people, faith-based entrepreneurs and leaders activating their God-given dream right before your very eyes. I want to encourage you that if you're somebody that God has given a God-given dream, I invite you to come on our set and activate your God-given dreams. Book a call with our producers and walk in your destiny.
When they lowered that paralytic man
Right.
down that hole in that roof where
Right.
Jesus was teaching, healing came. We fail to understand the journey to get a paralytic man to the roof anyway.
Right.
Can you imagine if they said, well, the crowd is too thick,
Right.
or, well, the sun is too hot, or, oh, the weight is too much to carry, or maybe we're going to get there and something's going to happen.
Right.
They could have come up with every excuse. That little fat, oh, I love what you say.
Yes.
That little fat man sitting on their shoulder, which is always there,
Right.
to discourage
Right.
and dissuade and say, you can't do it.
Who do you think you are?
Who do you think you are?
Look at your past.
Yeah.
Boy, get your own church. David.
But so, if I may ask you,
Go ahead.
how do you overcome that? Because so many people right now watching this program are smack dab in the middle of somewhere,
Right.
facing a decision they know they need to make, but don't know that they can do it. Or facing, I need to make a change, but are afraid what might happen. Or, I'm just tired of hearing the next guy talk about, I can do it too, and achieve great financial success if I just move.
And just be clear, I'm a businessman, so I talk in business terms. A God-given dream doesn't have to involve money. But the biggest challenge people have is that deserve factor. If you think you don't deserve it, you're not going to get off and take the action. You're not.
It's at the faith.
It's a mindset issue. This thing with the church I had with God Made Millionaire, I trademarked that term, God Made Millionaire. And when I had that sudden cardiac arrest in 2012, when I died for that minute and a half to 2 minutes in that period of time, that God-given dream died with me, Damon. And when I came back, when the Lord spared my life, I had unfinished business. And that was the God Made Millionaire message. But you have religious folks say, oh, that's the most anti-Christian term I've ever heard. Well, how dumb can you be? That's not the Bible that I read.
Yeah.
That's not. Maybe for you, that's your reality. And they'll say, with a great sense of pride, they'll say, well, money doesn't buy happiness. Well, poverty doesn't buy anything.
Yeah.
It takes funds. I'm on Facebook, and every day on my Facebook, there's GoFundMe accounts that come up that people need help. And people criticize the church over money. But what you don't realize sitting at home is that pastor that you are talking about, on Monday morning, his phone is going to blow up with people that go to his church and don't go to his church asking for this.
Yeah.
For a mortgage payment, for a car payment, for a light bill to be paid off.
Yeah.
You've got to learn how to activate this. But if you don't believe it's possible, Damon, why would you even try?
And if you don't feel you deserve it.
Deserve is a big issue.
So, number one, in your book,
Right.
you help us understand we are worthy.
Right.
In other words, God did not design us to live a life of poverty or of a poverty mindset. Let's talk about that a little bit, because you just touched on it, and that is so powerful in your book.
Right. There's a story that I share in the book about a woman that 30 years ago, she bought a ring at the flea market, a little $13 ring, made her feel like a princess. For 30 years, this ring stayed on her finger. One day, and in that 30-year period of time, Damon, she struggled, robbing Peter to pay Paul, struggled the entire time. And one day a man in the store saw her and took notice of that ring and started to follow her. And then he approached her and said, ma'am, can I look closer at that ring? She said, no, you can't. She ran home. And then she thought to herself, she said, there might be something to this ring. I'm going to take it to Sotheby's. She took it to Sotheby's, and she had it appraised. It turned out to be royalty, a royal ring that a true princess had worn.
Wow.
She put it to auction. Over $800,000 is what it yielded.
Wow.
$800,000 is what it yielded. And the entire time, this woman had that ring on her finger, and she carried it for 30 years, struggling every day of her life. And my message to you is, you that are struggling at home, you that have that God-given dream, I don't have a 7-figure ring to place on your finger. But what God has given you is a 6 or a 7-figure dream that you've carried for 30 years or longer or less.
Powerful.
That's the basis of the book, Damon.
And that's God.
Right.
We know that we've got the dream. How do you move from not just activating the dream, but how do you move from getting the dream to reality?
Well,
what's your book teach us?
Well, commitment is the launching pad of miracles. Commitment is the launching pad of miracles. You know, God gives you the dream. He doesn't give you the blueprint. And the problem with faith-based people is that they want the 10 steps given to them. And God's not going to give you 10 steps when you don't even take the first step. So, in answer to your question, commitment. You've got to be committed. You've got to reach a point in your life where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you draw the line in the sand and you say, I am committed.
Yeah.
I am committed. And I'm not talking about this rinky-dink commitment that people think is a commitment. I'm talking about a stone-cold commitment that you're going to make that dream happen, and you take the first step. And when you take that first step, God opens up the second step and reveals the second step. But it's never revealed until you become committed and at least take that first step. It doesn't happen if you're wishy-washy, putting your toe in the water. Did you try to do TV and build what you've got here?
I just took the step. But but there was also something else that existed in me that you talk about in your book.
Right.
If you wouldn't mind unpacking it a little bit. You talk about a king's mindset.
Right.
Talk to us about that.
Well, you know, if you're ever going to walk in your destiny, if you're ever going to walk in what God has called you to do, you've got to learn to say no to the king. You've got to learn to say no to the king. David, here's this little shepherd boy out in the field, and he hears that his God is being defiled by Goliath, and nobody wants to take on Goliath, and they bring him before the king, and the first thing the king does is say, hey, you're just a child. This is a great warrior. You're just a child, but if you're going to go to the battle, here's what I want you to do. Put my best armor on this boy. Put it on. So he puts on the chain of mail, and he puts this chain of mail on, the armor on David, and David said, I'm not proving this. I'm not, take it off. Do you realize the guts? You think that you have tenacity? You think I have tenacity? David said, take this off of me. Take the king's armor off. When you become committed to your dream, people are going to try to put things on you. Their opinions, their belief systems.
Limitations.
Their limitations. Oh, look at your history. They're going to throw your past up. You've got to say no to the king if you're ever going to walk in your destiny. David said no to the king, and it took guts, it took courage to say to this great warrior king, no, I don't need it. That took guts. And for you listening at home, it's going to take guts. You're going to have to say no to the king to walk in that destiny.
And you know, why are so many of us gripped and in prisons of our own minds to the limitations that this life brings or other people?
Well, I think your comfort zone. I think people are very comfortable in a comfort zone. And I think when you go for your dream, that God-given dream that God has given you, you're going to have to leave the safety and the security of your comfort zone. It's uncomfortable going after things. It's uncomfortable doing some of these things that God has called you to do. But the wealth and the success and the prosperity are never found on the safety of the shoreline. You're going to have to leave that safety of the shoreline and go where God is calling you to go if you're ever going to have that dream become a reality.
And you suggest, and you've seen it happen,
right?
That most of us are one instruction away from that happening.
Right.
Just one.
Well, it's true. We are one instruction away. You are one instruction away from achieving that God-given dream in your life. One away.
Have you seen it? And I'm not talking about in your own life. Have you seen it in people's lives who said, okay, give me the book. Let me read it. Let me just test this thing and see if it's true.
Right. It happens all the time.
Tell me.
It happens all the time. We had a gentleman that runs a very large Bible college, And part of the problem that he had, he reached out to me after he got the copy of the book, and he said, TC, he said, it was my own mindset. He said, it's my own mindset. He said, I rejected the teaching at first, what you're talking about. He said, but he said, now I see it, and it's been confirmed in my spirit. And here's a man that has tremendous influence, making tremendous impact, right? And
yet,
just one little shift, one little instruction is turning his Bible college around
into
such a significant,
to another level.
Right.
So is it safe for me to say and conclude, there are people watching that say, hey, I'm okay. You know, I got what I need. My bills are paid. I'm not in that place, Damon, that you talked about. My scale's balanced. I'm not rolling the dice. I'm okay. Is it safe to say that, oh, but they could be one instruction away from overflow?
Well, Damon, I think most people get into a habit of settling for less than what God has called them to do. It's very easy to settle. But you know what, as I told you, most people would die with that $1 million dream or that God-given dream in them. I died with it in me. I died with it. Most $1 million dreams are in the cemetery. Yeah, most of them are there. That's where you'll find them. And when I came back, when I came back to life and God gave me another shot at the title, so to speak, I am just committed that the next time that I check out, I'm going to be empty. I'm not going to have any dreams that I have that I'm going to take with me. I'm just not.
I think it was Miles Monroe.
Right.
The richest place in the world is the graveyard.
Right.
There you will find dreams.
Right.
There you will find the greatest songs ever written and never sang. There you will find inventions that never saw the light of day. I believe what you're doing is, as Delatorre McNeil said, you're moving people from the graveyard to greatness.
Right.
And it's possible.
Right.
So you have no doubt.
Oh, there's no doubt.
No doubt that
none.
no matter where they are,
right,
no matter what they're going through, if they take a step, if they move forward now, committed, it's going to happen.
If they do that, I'm your huckleberry. Yeah, this is if they do that, they want this book, without question.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
And thank you. I need you to understand that Jesus spent 30 years in preparation for the greatest 3 years of his life. So you may be sitting there and saying, it's too late, come too far. In an instant, it starts with a decision. God can shift everything. And the last 10 years, 15 years, 20 years of your life, such a training ground for the greatest days of your life. I'll say something once more. You've heard me say this before in this program. It's a season of restoration. Now, restoration's a messy process. So just consider just how bad things have been the last however long. That's been a season of restoration. It's been messy. It's been dirty. But when God restores a thing, he doesn't move it back to the way it was. He restores it to its original intent. What was your original intent? What did God really want to do in your life and through your life on planet Earth? May God richly bless you. We'll see you again next time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Hey everybody, TC Bradley, host of God Made Millionaire TV, and I was thinking the other day of how my life was profoundly impacted and changed for the better when I published my first book, Supernatural Success. I want to help you publish your book. If you've been given a God-given dream, an assignment to publish your book, well, we have a publishing company designed specifically from A to Z to handle all of those details for you. All you need to do right now at this point is set an appointment up with our publishing company so that we can talk to you about bringing your book to the marketplace and your voice to the nations on our show, God Made Millionaire TV, as a published author.